Hey everybody. Today's Tuesday, the 13th of June. Tomorrow is my first appointment with the attorney to go over the, process of guardianship, what I need to have, and what I need to do. Um, Kind of nervous about it. One thing that people don't talk about is that, not only do parents in general, have expenses for their children, and most of us know that, then you tackle in somebody who has special needs, who requires more attention or more products, then everything is a lot more expensive, obviously. For GASPA, he requires diapers, pull ups for the daytime, diapers for nighttime. Then you have, your typical wipes, gloves, that kind of stuff, because a lot of children who are, have profound autism, they tend to be more difficult to potty train. So that's part of it. So, there's there's so many expenses just in general. And now as your child, starts to get closer to being 18, becoming a legal adult, and who cannot mentally, physically care for themselves, make decisions like taking their medicine every day, or, what they need to eat, feeding themselves. I mean, Gaspa, once you put the food in front of him, he can feed himself. But to like know what he needs to eat or prepare, I mean, he would go and eat just his little cereal snack if that's all you gave him. Um, but along with that, once they start turning 18, then you have to go through, guardianship. You know, there's a lot of guardianship that is very, expensive, depending on the attorney you have. Obviously, the state, the location, it can get very expensive. Um, Currently, the attorney that I have has done a lot of guardianship in the county that I live in. And the county I live in is more difficult to get guardianship. So you have to have an attorney that understands all the processes. So because he has done so many, he actually only charges $1,000 for that guardianship. Now, you have to pay, in addition to that, about $700 in court fees, and then another $500 to put down, like, kind of like it's like a retainer for somebody who represents, the person who is, needing that guardianship, because they need to have somebody who represents them in court, so it's not just like one person's say or whatever. Um, one of the things that is difficult is, like, if it's non-contestant, then it's like flat fee. Okay, you're done. Whatever, you go through the process of guardianship. However, if you are divorced, which I am divorced from his father, um, and that parent doesn't want to just sign the waiver to allow you to be guardian, um, then now you have to go in more depth and more expenses to get basically that person served or whatever. And it's stressful. It's stressful, especially when you are a single parent who has cared for your child for 15 and a half years by yourself, um, with no help from his father. I mean, financially, his father would pay when he worked a regular job. It was garnished. Okay. So now it's like he owes over $11,000 in back child support. He basically made it known, even though he doesn't live in the same state as I am, that he wants to co-guardianship. Now, I don't know the process here. I haven't, like I said, been able to talk to the my attorney to see, is that even feasible? You're in two different states. He's never even had our son overnight, let alone for an hour or two by himself in 15 and a half years. So I can probably count on two hands how many times he has had our son for literally an hour or two. The only one exception to that was when in 2021, both me and my son got COVID, and we both have asthma, so we were hospitalized. And because he was a minor, he had to be in a different hospital than I was. And because of him being nonverbal and, having all these different special needs, my family went down there. I mean, there was no hospitals around here that actually could take him. So he had to be 2 hours away from where I live to get care that he needed in a children's hospital. And so at the time, I had basically asked his father if I paid for his flight ticket, would he come here and go stay in the hospital with our son for 2 or 3 days, whatever it was needed. And he did do that. And I was very grateful, told him I was so grateful because it gave me a sense of peace, even though he still had to have like the nurses do everything because he didn't know really what to do. I had to basically say, or my sister or my mother, whoever had to talk to the nurses, basically had to tell them about our son because he didn't even know all the detail. So I mean, that's kind of hearsay, whatever, about, I'm not trying to get all, in my drama and all that stuff with the ex-husband or father. I have wanted Gaspa's father to be a part of his life this entire time. Never once, kept him from him. And it was his choice to do what he's done. And so back to the story is like, I don't know what's going to happen. But regardless, who is it going to cost more money for? Me. His dad's not paying for this guardianship process. I am. And along with guardianship comes like a special needs trust. Because his dad is ordered for child support, and in the state I live in, if your child is dependent, like a disability, that, child support doesn't end at age 18 or when they get out of high school. It will be for the life of the child. And because they require care, just like I will have to continue to provide money for other things, even though when he turns 18, he would be eligible for some SSI and Medicaid. So it's just, I don't know, it's just amazing that, I mean, like all this money that has to go into getting a special needs trust for a child that has disability, who, just so they don't lose an SSI benefit with Medicaid. And the most that you get paid for SSI is $914 a month. And I know for a lot of people that really helps. And surely it's going to help. But don't be fooled to think that that is enough money to care for an adult who has special needs, who has profound level 3 autism, nonverbal. He can't just go out there in the world and people know what he wants, you know. So I just think it's such a shame that we have such a society that it's like it's a fight. It's a fight no matter what. And as a mother who, has like financially raised my son by myself for basically $11,000 in back child support is like for me is over 3 years of no child support. And so it's like I'm doing this by myself. And it's just kind of like, what more do I have to go through? What more? I mean, I feel like it's like you're just taking away money I don't have just so I can make sure that my son is taken care of in his future. Um, I mean, he can't go to a doctor's appointment and tell them what is ailing him. He can't, you know, understand what they're saying to him that he needs to do this or that. He can't drive himself, so it's like obviously he has to have a caregiver, a guardian for the rest of his life. And I'm just dumbfounded that it costs so much money. Like I said, $2,100 for guardianship if it's not contested. I've heard that special needs trust is like a couple $1,000s. Then on top of it, like because of his special needs, child support, I have to get it modified. So then there you go. There's another attorney that does family law to modify your thing. So you got to have the dad served again. And I mean, in all reality, I would love to just be like, forget it, don't even deal with it. But at the same time, it's like if he wants to have co guardianship, he should have to also be financially responsible, just like I am and like I have been for our son's 17 and a half years of life. Yes, it's like the first 2 years of his life we were together, and he was definitely more financially responsible with child support. Um, I don't know. I know life is not fair, but gosh, it's like I walk in, I wake up every single day and to take care of my son, work, take care of my daughter, take care of a household, yard, all that stuff. While you have somebody else out there that can do what they want, wake up, and all they have to worry about is taking care of themselves. And then they want to fight you, and you're stuck going into debt by credit card because that's the only way you can afford to do the attorneys to do the things that you need to do right now. And I just think it's a shame. And I just want people to understand that, I mean, being a caregiver is so hard. And then you throw in the rest of the life that everybody else has to deal with. And we all know that right now, sorry, can't even think of it. Inflation is just so skyrocketed that everything is going up. Pay isn't going up, but everything else is going up. And all we can do is thank God for what we have. Thank God for waking us up each day. and know that He has our back. He is before us, beside us, and behind us. And um, I couldn't have made it in this last 3 years without Him after my husband passed away. And I just thank you for, following on this journey. And I pray that you all have a good night. And I will, do a video tomorrow or the next day just to let you know how the first initial attorney visit went and the type of things that you will need to do if you are happen to go through this process as well. So stay blessed, and until next time, have a great night.